Approval workflow applies to users requesting learning objects, or users requesting completion status of learning objects, or to both. There are two types of approval workflows: system-generated and custom approval workflows. System-generated is the default, and custom approval workflows are created based on your business process. An approval workflow for training requests can be defined for learning object types as well as individual learning objects. However, the approval workflow for training completion requests can only be applied to learning object types. Before we dive into approval workflows, it's important to revisit the user record. If a user record has a 0 populated in the required training approvals field, then no training approvals are ever required, regardless of any training approvals set anywhere in the portal. When determining the approval for a learning object, the system first checks the user record required training approvals field, then the learning object setting and the approval requirements for the training type. Regardless of which workflow you use, approvals for learners will not deviate from the workflow step order. Let's explore how the system-generated workflow works, as this satisfies most training approval requirements. In a system-generated workflow, the typical order is approver, cost center approver, then manager. Here's an example of how that system-generated workflow would be applied as it relates to the user record. Jane's user record has a 1 populated in the required training approvals field. Her user record also does not have an approver or cost center identified. If Jane's manager denies the request will not advance, and Jane won't be allowed to register for the training. Lastly, if Jane does not have a manager, Jane's training request will automatically be approved because the request cannot be routed to an appropriate approver. If your organization requires additional or different roles to approve requests, or you need multiple approvers per step in the workflow, or you need steps in the workflow to run sequentially or concurrently, then a custom approval workflow is the option that will meet your business needs.